Welcome to today's story, The Last Apology, a journey of love, betrayal, and self-worth. Chapter 1, The Shadow of Success. Ethan Rivers was everything the world envied. CEO of one of the fastest-growing tech firms in New York, commanding boardrooms and empires with a mere nod. But amid the skyscrapers and flashing lights, he was a man used to silence. Until she came. Amelia Carter wasn't the kind of woman who turned heads when she entered a room, but when she spoke, the world stilled. As Ethan's new executive secretary, she was professional, sharp, and effortlessly kind. Ethan, a man immune to charm, found himself lost in the rhythm of her laugh and the calm of her presence. Their late-night meetings turned into dinners, dinners into walks, walks into moments where time dared not move. Amelia saw through his steel exterior. She saw the little boy who once dreamed, who once feared. And Ethan, for the first time in his adult life, felt seen, not for his power, but for his soul. Chapter 2, Love in the Glass Tower. Their love was not loud. It was subtle, a quiet rebellion against the world's expectations. She never asked him for more than he could give, and in return, he gave her all he had. His loyalty, his time, and finally, his heart. But happiness has a strange habit of inviting tests. One rainy morning, she walked into the office with 2 coffees as always, only to see her, Isabel Grant, the name that had once adorned Ethan's high school notebooks. The girl he'd written letters for but never sent. Now, Isabel was back in the city, seeking a partnership. Ethan welcomed her in with the warmth of an old flame. Amelia stood at the door, watching history resurrect itself. Chapter 3, Betrayal in Familiar Faces. Amelia wasn't jealous. She was intuitive. She noticed the subtle changes, the way Ethan's eyes lingered too long when Isabel laughed, the missed texts, the late-night meetings that no longer included her. Then came the night Ethan didn't come home. The next morning, the tabloids confirmed what her heart had already told her. Rivers and Grant, business or pleasure? The headline tore through her like a blade. When she confronted him, he didn't deny it. It just happened, he said, eyes downcast. She's a part of who I used to be. Amelia smiled through the devastation. And I guess I'm the part you outgrew. She packed her things and walked out, not just from the office, but from his life. Chapter 4, The Second Chance That Never Came. Weeks passed, then months. Ethan tried. He called. He waited outside her apartment in the cold. He sent flowers, letters, apologies. He broke things in his penthouse out of frustration. Not with her, but with himself. But Amelia had learned a truth most women discover only after heartbreak. Sometimes love is not about holding on, but knowing when to let go. She moved to Chicago, started her own consultancy, built her life brick by brick, without him. Not out of spite, but from strength. One day, years later, they met at a business conference. Ethan stood at the end of the hall, older, softer, and still wearing that regret in his eyes. He approached her slowly, like a man walking into a memory. "Amelia," he breathed. "Do you ever think about us?" She looked at him, kind and calm. "I used to, but not anymore." He nodded, swallowing the pain. "I was a fool." "You were human," she replied, offering a small smile. "But I'm no longer the girl who waits for someone to figure it out." And with that, she turned and walked into the next session, her heels clicking like punctuation to the final chapter of their story. Ethan had never known regret as a physical weight, until now. Every morning felt heavier without Amelia's presence. Her chair in the office remained empty for weeks, as if the air refused to accept her absence. He tried to reach her. 100 voicemails, a dozen emails. None returned. Isabel remained by his side, radiant, charming, and nostalgic. But where Amelia had brought peace, Isabel brought chaos. Where Amelia asked nothing of him, Isabel demanded everything. His attention, his time, his image. Ethan began to suffocate under a past he had long romanticized but had outgrown. He missed the woman who loved him quietly, who challenged him not to be more for the world, but for himself. Chapter 5. Becoming Amelia. Chicago wasn't part of Amelia's plan, but she needed air, space, silence. Starting her own consultancy wasn't easy. There were days she cried alone in a studio apartment, nights where memories clawed back into her mind. But each morning, she reminded herself, he didn't break you. He only helped you find the cracks you needed to fill yourself. With time, her name began appearing on industry lists. Her work was being noticed. More importantly, she was healing. Not to be stronger for someone else, but for her. In her reflection, she no longer saw Ethan's secretary. She saw Amelia Carter, CEO of her own story. Chapter 6. Closure doesn't knock, you build it 2 years later. A tech leadership summit in Los Angeles. Amelia was scheduled to speak on leading with integrity. As she stepped onto the stage, poised and radiant, she noticed someone in the front row. Ethan Rivers. Their eyes met. Time didn't stop. It paused respectfully. After her keynote, he approached. I had to see you, he said. She nodded politely. I'm glad you did. I'm proud of where you are now. He looked down, then met her eyes. I lost the best thing that ever happened to me. I know I don't deserve another chance, but I wanted to tell you. I've never stopped regretting that day. She studied him, then smiled. Softly, kindly. Regret is heavy, Ethan, but I let mine go. There was no pain in her voice, just peace. I've moved on, she said. I wish you the same. And just like that, she walked away. Not to hurt him, but to honor herself. She didn't need a door reopened. She built a new house. Epilogue, her own name 3 years later. Amelia stood in front of a full auditorium in San Francisco. The banner behind her read, She Builds, a conference for women in leadership. As she took the stage, thunderous applause echoed. She was no longer introduced as the former secretary turned entrepreneur. She was simply Amelia Carter, founder of one of the top ethical consulting firms in the U.S., and a voice for women who once felt unseen. She spoke of business, ethics, and grace. But she didn't shy away from her story. I once loved a man who couldn't choose me, and I don't hate him for it. That loss taught me how to choose myself. In the crowd, a young woman in her mid-20s wiped a tear from her cheek. She had been ghosted a week before by someone she believed was the one. She clutched her notebook where she had written, You don't heal by waiting. You heal by walking. After the event, the girl came up to Amelia and whispered, You told my story, before I even lived it. Thank you for showing me I can write my own ending. Amelia smiled. You're not writing the ending, she said. You're just getting started. Final message to readers. You are not someone's second choice. You are not a backup plan. You are a chapter no one else can write, and one heartbreak does not define your whole book. Don't wait for closure. Don't wait for them to change. Heal anyway. Rise anyway. Because your future is still yours to love. If you loved Amelia's journey, don't forget to subscribe and share this with someone who needs healing.